After 1979, the Islamic Republic of Iran launched official efforts to export the principles of the Islamic Revolution and to destroy Israel by organizing Lebanese Shias into militant groups. Lebanese Hezbollah was founded and organized by the Revolutionary Guards in the early 1980s. It is the most well-known and powerful ally of the Islamic Republic overseas. Hezbollah's activities are underpinned by three core principles. 1. Iran is the center of the Islamic world and the greatest supporter of Hezbollah. 2. The West, led by the US, is intent on dominating the Middle East. 3. Israel is the everlasting enemy of Lebanon, and its presence next to Lebanon is a threat to Lebanese security. On April 29, 1983, in one of the first terror attacks led by Iran's allies in Lebanon, 63 people, including 17 Americans, were killed by a suicide bomb at the American embassy in Beirut. In a phone call to a news agency immediately after the explosion, the Lebanese group Islamic Jihad, led by Emea Jewish, took responsibility for the attack. The anonymous caller said, "This is part of the Iranian Revolution's campaign against imperialist targets throughout the world. We shall keep striking at any crusader presence in Lebanon, including international forces." At the time, this was the deadliest attack on an American diplomatic mission on record. It also marked the beginning of a campaign of terror by parliamentary forces allied with Iran. Deadly strikes by Islamic Jihad continued in the months that followed. On October 23, 1983, the U.S. Marines barracks in Beirut was bombed, killing 241 U.S. and 58 French military personnel, as well as 6 civilians and 2 attackers. Leader Emea Jewish also took responsibility. Not long after that, he became Hezbollah's chief of staff. From that time until February 12, 2008, when he was assassinated in Syria, Emea Jewish moved freely between Lebanon, Iran, and Syria. Under the leadership of Ayatollah Khomeini, Iran's Revolutionary Guards became more and more powerful. The Guards' expeditionary Quds Force has been accused of sponsoring and conducting extensive terrorist activities outside Iran. The bombing of the Emea Jewish Mutual in Buenos Aires on July 18, 1994, was one of the most notorious operations organized by the Quds Force. The terror attack killed 85, mostly Jewish citizens of Argentina, and injured more than 300. After extensive investigations, the Argentine state concluded that the bombing had been planned in Tehran by the Quds Force and carried out by Lebanese Hezbollah under the command of Emea Jewish. In October 2011, the U.S. Department of Justice announced that FBI agents had foiled a plot by Iranian agents to assassinate Adel al-Jubeir, the Saudi ambassador to the U.S. An Iranian-American dual national named Mansour Ababsiar and an Iranian national, Ali Gholam Shakuri, a senior commander of the Quds Force, were charged as the main culprits. According to U.S. officials, al-Jubeir was not the only target. The same group was also reportedly planning to attack the embassies of Israel and Saudi Arabia in the U.S. and Argentina. On Saudi Arabia's request, The plot was referred to the UN Security Council on October 17, 2011. In response, Iran's then-president, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, accused the U.S. of waging a propaganda war against Iran. He claimed that terrorism is what uncultured people do, and the cultured people of Iran had no need of such activity. On February 15, 2012, Thai security officials announced that 3 agents of the Islamic Republic had planned to murder a number of Israeli diplomats in Bangkok. The plot was confirmed when the group's bomb was let off early at the villa they were occupying in Bangkok. Co-conspirator Saeed Moradi, 29, was being chased by the Thai police at the time and threw the explosives he was carrying towards them. He lost both feet in the blast. 4 other people were also injured. Moradi was arrested and was sentenced to life in prison. His accomplices, Mohammad Hazai and Masoud Sedahat-Zawadeh, were each jailed for 15 years. But on November 25, 2020, the 3 terrorists were released. It came in exchange for the freedom of Dr. Kylie Moore Gilbert, an Australian-British academic being held hostage in Iran. The 3 were given a hero's welcome when their plane touched down in Tehran. On September 14, 2020, U.S. intelligence revealed the Islamic Republic had planned to assassinate Lana Marks, the U.S. ambassador to South Africa. Officials said the Iranian embassy in South Africa was involved in the plot, which was hatched in a bid to avenge the U.S. assassination of top Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. Soleimani, the then commander of the Quds Force, was assassinated by an American drone at around 1 a.m. near Baghdad Airport on January 3, 2020. The killing had been ordered by President Donald Trump as Commander-in-Chief of the American Armed Forces.
At my direction, the United States military eliminated the world's top terrorist, Qasem Soleimani.
3 days earlier, following attacks by Iranian-backed Shia militias on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, Trump had said Iran was going to pay a heavy price for these and other terrorist acts over the past 40 years. This, he had emphasized, was not a warning, but a threat. Islamic Republic officials vowed revenge after Soleimani's funeral. 2 years later, it remains unclear if and how they plan to fulfill this promise.
باید متجاوز و قاتل و جنایتکار اصلی رئیس جمهور وقت امریکا محاکمه شود، باید قصاص شود، باید حکم خدا در مورد او جاری شود. اگر سازوکار محاکمه عادلانه آقای ترامپ، پومپو و دیگر جنایتکاران فراهم شد در یک دادگاه عادلانه که اونها به این جنایت هولناکشون رسیدگی شد، به مجازات اعمال ننگیشون رسیدند، فبها. اگر نه، شک نکنید به تمام دولت مردان امریکایی میگویم دست انتقام از آستین امت بیرون خواهد آمد. دست انتقام از آستین امت